7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And grow. And we're back. I'm super excited to be back with you all today. I go by CDK on the mic, the #1 ranked HBCU host, representing the illustrious North Carolina A&T. And I'll be your moderator today as we talk about the brand new hit series, Soul of a Nation. Soul of a Nation is a new groundbreaking 6-part series on ABC focused on Black American experience. Every episode bridges the past, present, and future through a variety of voices and experiences from athletes, entertainers, performers, and screenwriters. Before we jump into today's roundtable, let's take a look at a clip from last night's episode.
The Black church is a living, mystical community of hope-filled people that can inspire and change the world.
Going to the Black church was transformative for me. It was a place where I got to see Black expression.
I think the Black church is the strongest autonomous Black institution in America.
The church is the place where healing and hope can be found.
The Black church has survived, and the Black church is still here.
So as you can see, last night's viewers got a chance to see Faith, the 3rd episode in the series, exploring diversity and faith in Black community. I don't know about y'all, but that Nick Cannon segment really hit home for me. If you haven't had the chance to catch up just yet, catch up on Hulu. Joining us today are 3 incredible individuals behind the series. Let me introduce you to Eric Johnson, Soul of a Nation executive producer. Deborah Roberts, ABC News Senior National Affairs correspondent. Tamaris Leonard, Soul of a Nation production assistant and Texas Southern University alum. In addition to our amazing ABC News journalists, we also have selected HBCU student and alumni joining the conversation today. All my students say hey.
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 Big waves, big waves. Let's get right into the conversation with Deborah. Virgil has a question for you about having a platform such as ABC. Virgil, take it away.
Sure. Hello, Deborah. Hello, panelists. Hello, fellow students. It's nice to meet you. My name is Virgil Parker. I'm representing Howard University. Ms. Deborah, my question for you is, why is it important to visualize the Black experience on a prominent network like ABC?
Oh my gosh. Well, why not? Right? First of all, let me just say thank you very much, Virgil, for the question. And it's such a pleasure to be with all of you today. I think it's obviously something that's long overdue. I mean, I think many of us, particularly people of color who work for various networks, and I have lots of friends and colleagues at other networks, advocate and probably, really agitate on a regular basis for stories that we feel affect us and affect our community. But I think oftentimes, truthfully, those stories are hard to, be legitimized. And I think that we are in a time right now where we are having big discussions about race and inclusivity and white supremacy and so many things that have surfaced over this last year, that it's sort of, the time is definitely sort of ripe for a further exploration. And just in that clip you just heard about, in Faith, the Black church, hope. So much about hope. And I think that so many of us, of course, embody a lot of those values that we've sort of learned over the years. And I think many times some of us feel a little frustrated because we often understand that our experiences aren't always reflected in stories that we tell. I mean, certainly for me as a correspondent, I've done any number of stories that might have either a Black central character or multiple Black, secondary characters. But oftentimes, if I don't speak up, my viewpoint, or certainly a viewpoint that I know very well from the Black community, isn't necessarily always represented. So I think this is an opportunity now to dig into subjects like faith, like Reconstruction in this country, like celebrity, joy, pain, forgiveness. Some of the episodes that you saw last night touched on some of those issues. I think it's an opportunity for us to go a little deeper and to just have representation. And isn't representation what we all want? So I think it's time, and I think it makes a major difference. And I think there's a lot of pride beating in the hearts of so many of us at ABC and even outside of our network as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Amazing answer. So Mr. Johnson, with you being the executive producer, how did you get involved in this series, and what does it mean to you?
Oh my goodness, call me Mr. Johnson. I feel real old.
Respect.
Exactly. No, but thank you guys for having. We're so excited to be here with you guys. I as we were talking in the sort of pregame to this, I'm director and executive producer of podcast programming at ABC News. I've been at ABC for 14 years, working alongside all of the great correspondents and anchors, like including Deb. And when this was brought to my attention by Marie Nelson, who came up with the idea of the series, and this was a passion project of hers, is to create this idea of what does Black storytelling look like under a network news magazine. I was like, all right, I thought, okay, well, let's just put some ideas together. We'll see what happens. And then, we started last September me and a couple of others started putting these ideas together, and we brought it to the network, and we sold it, and it was, for us, I thought it was going to be a hard thing to make people understand what we were trying to do. But as Deb talked about, in this moment that we're in, I think that there's really a lot of a focus on what we can do better to tell stories about all types of people, including Black people. This project has been, Deb talked about the pride. I cannot tell you how proud I am to see us looking at these incredible nuanced stories. Like Deborah did a great piece last night on abortion within the Black community, something that we would never typically just do in a segment that way. We're looking at stories that we would never maybe touch because they might be seen too provocative or too niche. And to kick the whole episode off with BB Winans singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing," I mean, it's incredible. We set out the goal to create storytelling that my little brother could see himself in, that my grandmother, my mother could see themselves in. But we want everybody to know that they can find themselves in the stories of Black people, not just Black people. We want people to know all of your stories are our stories. Our story is the American story. And I think that we're hitting that goal that we set out to hit when we first launched late last year.
My favorite thing about the series so far is that we're really hitting the nail on the head with these hard subjects, like you said before. And that's really my favorite part, as far as like really just opening my eyes as a Black young man on a national level. So I really like that we're doing that for not only the Black community, but like you said, a story about the Black community for all people. You know what I'm saying? So I really think that that's amazing that we're doing that for this series. So Ms. Leonard, let's go ahead and get you involved in the conversation as well. We mentioned earlier that you are HBCU grad. You went to Texas Southern. So how did your time at Texas Southern prepare you for the role of production assistant in such an important series?
I would say that experience is the best teacher, and Texas Southern has provided me with an abundance of opportunity and experience. And I think that the HBCU experience is kind of reminiscent to the series because you leave your HBCU with such a broadened perspective. So there is so much preparation in my 4 years at Texas Southern University, and I've been able to do so much, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And I don't think that I would be as great of an asset to the show if I did not attend my HBCU. So definitely so much to be gained.
HBCUs produce great talent, great people all together. So absolutely. And we all know this with the HBCU student and alumni that we have on the panel right now, which I'm about to kick it to Grant to ask Deborah a question, but we're going to go ahead and open the floor as far as for our panelists. So once we ask the question, anybody can answer it as well. Just the initial person that they asked it to, we ask that they answer first. But yeah, let's go ahead and kick it to Grant.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grant Robertson. I am a strategic, legal, and management communications major at Howard University. And my question is, if you had to choose, which is your favorite segment in the series? As CDK said, it's directed towards Miss Roberts, but of course, anyone, please answer.
Oh, yeah, give me the hard one. By the way, Mr. Strategic Legal Management. I like that title, by the way. I didn't even know that was a specialty in the world of journalism. I thought about that because, I wondered if somebody might throw that out. I won't say that there's a favorite. I mean, Eric pointed to the story that I worked on last night. Of course, I'm going to point out the one that I worked on because I thought it really spoke to me. And I was about to point out, and you give me an opportunity here to say, that when I was first approached by Candace Smith, one of our senior producers on this program, about the abortion debate, my first reaction was, oh, no, don't want to go there. Don't want to go near that. That is a subject that is so provocative and so, hot that I feel like you can't really win however you try to tell the story. Eric, of course, encouraged me to bring that to the story because that's what we're doing in this series, that we are exploring issues that might be difficult, that might be, painful. And we're getting in there, and even my valid opinion of, feeling a little uncomfortable would be, worth exploring. So I thought that was really intriguing that he was open and everyone was open to exploring subjects that we might even feel uncomfortable about. And I learned a lot too in doing this particular report. It never occurred to me that there could be a nuanced discussion about abortion, and certainly a subject that isn't talked about in the Black community, but certainly hits the Black community very hard. Black women account for 17% more abortions than in the white community. So that was something that I thought needed to be talked about, and to talk to these two women of faith who are at polar opposite ends of the spectrum. But both of them said to me that they would not, take a dig at the other person, that they would not disparage the other person. That's her sister in faith, and they have different viewpoints. And the one woman who was very anti-abortion was not just anti-abortion and screaming about it for the sake of it. Her whole point was, I want to care about the whole woman. So I can't be anti-abortion unless I care about that woman who is in that predicament and want to help her and help her come up with options, because I was there too. Because so often we do see people standing outside these clinics, screaming and just saying, save the fetus and so forth. She was, so much more. She was about so much more than that. So I really enjoyed exploring that story. I also enjoyed the roundtable last night, hearing different people of faith. I mean, there were so many aspects of it, and the musical numbers, the idea that we are infusing music into these programs too. So I can't say that I have a favorite, but I think that so many of them, John Legend, getting a chance to sort of highlight him. I think there are a lot of them. But as I said to Eric earlier, I just want them to be longer. I just want them to be longer. Any correspondent who's working on a program wants a longer period of time.
Longer segments.
Segments. Exactly. But that's always the push and pull. And for any of you out there who are just stepping into this business, that is always going to be your lament. And you're going to be fighting with your producers about that because you want the pieces to be longer. You know what more you can bring. And, sometimes you've got to just let it go and hope people took from it what they needed to take from it. So more to come. And I'm sure there's more to be excited about.
And in the case of Deborah's story, the conversation after you were, and I think I talked to Deborah about this after the piece, after the guys were done rapping, the conversation continued with the camera folks, the audio guys. Everybody was just like still talking about.
Yeah.
They've never heard a conversation like that before.
Yeah.
And that's something that we wanted to bring to each and every segment. I think for me, my favorite part was actually wound up being a surprise. We had the rapper Common do our cold open for the very first episode, and since then, there's been, everybody kind of likes this idea of the cold opens, and so for the second episode, we had a young lady who was a TikToker who was featured in one of our pieces, and she was wearing a sweatshirt that said Harriet for Harriet Tubman across the front of her sweatshirt, and that's how we opened the show, was her dancing, wearing Harriet. And I just thought, for a news show to have this young, beautiful Black woman who's creative, who's smart, wearing Harriet emblazoned across her chest, dancing, to kick off that program that way, I thought was really special, and something that surprised me about how emotional I got watching that. I just thought, wow, we're really able to push what we're doing here. So I've really grown to liking the first minute of the show. Trying to think about how we introduce the series every week has been very fun.
Because you normally don't get that kind of freedom to play with images like that. I mean, let's just be honest. It's a rarity to get a chance to do that, right, Eric?
Yeah, absolute rarity. And we've had so much support from, everybody internally was like, we love the cold open. How are you got to do it with Common every week? And it's like, well, no, we can't have Common do it every week. We need to think. And so we were really with this project, able to be creative. Deborah talked about Candace Smith, who's an alumni of Howard as well. She seniored the Faith Hour. We Robe and Brianna, who's my partner in crime, he's co-EP on the project. It was very important for us to give the seniors for each hour as much freedom as they could have to really create what they wanted to. So each hour really has its own, identity based off of who was producing it, based off that team that's on it. And that's been really special through this process. It's just to have the ability to be that creative. We've had a lot of fun.
And can I just add one quick thing? I'm sorry, guys, but what else is really great is we have producers like Eric, like Candace Smith, like Ro. We're having an opportunity for people of color to shine in ways that they have not had an opportunity to in the network, and that we knew that they had it and they had the goods to do something different. And at this moment, they're getting a chance to shine. And that's a very proud moment for so many of us.
Yeah. I think that one of my favorite episodes was definitely the next hour, because it just highlights the next generation. And it was amazing being able to work on that project and just really seeing the elevation. But honestly, all of the episodes are amazing because it provides so much perspective on different topics. So you just leave with a lot of good conversation.
Absolutely love this team. And Samaris, we're going to stay right there with you. Carmen has a question for you about your career path and kind of how you got to where you are being an HBCU grad. So, Carmen.
Hi, my name is Carmen. My name is Carmen Jackson. I am a graduate of Hampton University, and I received my degree in strategic communications. So my question to you is, as a fellow HBCU graduate, how did you find your personal footing in your career, and did you ever experience imposter syndrome?
Well, that is an amazing question, Carmen. I would say that I really found my footing through doing my internship. So when I was an undergrad, I did an internship for the Democratic Debate, and that's actually how I met a lot of my fellow coworkers who I'm speaking with right now. But also just doing different things in my undergraduate program, like radio, film, interviews. I've had the opportunity to interview people like Travis Scott. I've interviewed Congressman Beto O'Rourke, and just really taking advantage of my undergraduate experience. Journalism has always been my passion. I really am a fan of just exposing the truth and putting everything out there. And I think that journalism really gives you the tools in order to do so. So finding my footing was really just aligning those experiences with something that I was already passionate about. I've definitely experienced imposter syndrome, but I think that I am blessed to have coworkers and counterparts who really pour life into you. Like my producers, even my EPs like Eric, they are very encouraging and they always just have a kind word. So it just makes you really feel at ease and like you can just progress forward. And then even my last team, I was able to do projections for the elections, and that team was very encouraging as well. So I think that at least with the ABC network, you're really blessed with amazing coworkers who are going to really give life to you and kind of ease that. And I even still speak with some of my HBCU professors and my mentors, and they're very encouraging as well. But I think that in order to remedy that, you really just have to believe in yourself and remember that you are an asset to anything that you work on. So.
I love the idea that you that now imposter syndrome is just sort of like part of the vernacular, because I remember learning about that so early on in my career. The idea that you feel like that you really don't belong and people will find out. If I can just follow up on something though, because I get a chance to watch and see interns around the office, at least when we were coming into the office. And I think you raised such a great point about making yourself available, putting yourself out there. And I cannot stress that enough to any of you out there who either may be about to embark upon an internship. Maybe you have already had one, or you're looking for something else in addition. But to put yourselves out there, because I cannot tell you how many times I have seen interns here and there who kind of quietly sit by the wayside, and I didn't know who they were and never had an opportunity to even really interact with them because they didn't make themselves known. And I think that it's up to you to grab those opportunities and to go out and introduce yourself. You know, if you're sitting outside the office of an Eric or maybe my office, to knock on the door and introduce yourself and say, I'm here, I'm ready, I'm willing, I can do whatever. It's important for you to step outside your comfort zone and to make yourself noticed.
Yeah, I can't echo that enough. What Deborah is saying, because people always ask, you know, how you've been at ABC for so long. And I started as like an assistant to the senior producers at Nightline, you know, 14 years ago. And, you know, people always ask, you know, how did you keep moving up? I tried to make myself indispensable. You know, I would show up before everybody. I tried to say hello to everybody. I would time out when I got my coffee. If I saw the boss over there, try to make small talk. And I'm a real chatty person, but it can be really awkward, especially when there's not many people that look like you in the office or you feel uncomfortable. You have to put yourself out there. You have to make yourself known. Tamara is like, seems like she's really shy. She is not, like, she is a star. And when I was poking around trying to find folks to support this project, everybody when I went to the desk was like, we know, you gotta talk to Tamara. You gotta talk to Tamara. And it's been great. And that's how, and the reason that worked out that way is because she had done such a great job impressing everybody around her and really making a name for herself, even in the group that she was at before she came over to Seoul. And so now we're trying to hold on to her forever. But yeah, I mean, you just have to really, you know, put yourself out there and just really be yourself.
Yeah. Make lasting impression and lasting connections. The goal is to build a genuine connection. Your network is your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
Love that.
Cameras. All right. All right.
Thank you,
Your network is
everyone.
the net worth.
I love that.
So Kenyatta, go ahead and ask Mr. Johnson about inclusion in the series.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kenyatta Coleman. I am a senior from the illustrious Clark Atlanta University, majoring in journalism. And my question for you, Mr. Johnson, is simply, how important was it for you to include everyday people in this series?
That's a great question. That was so, I mean, I can answer that question 1,000 ways. It was important for us to include everybody in this series in a lot of ways. I wanted, for me personally, I'm like an ABC News baby. And I have a lot of great relationships and friendships. I wanted to include the correspondents from the anchor, everybody. I wanted them to find a space within this project. I wanted PAs, APs, that might not be able to normally find the opportunity to stretch. I wanted to find a way for them to be included in this project. And all of that leads into what you're talking about, the everyday stories. That episode on faith yesterday that aired last night, you know, one of the things I love most about it is faith is, people think about Black people, they think about gospel church. We know that 80% of Black people are spiritual, but there is so much diversity within that group of faithful. And I really thought that the selection of the stories and the selection of characters, we call people characters, it's not a slight, the selection of characters within the stories, the people that were in each act really were special and unique. I loved the different women that were featured, not only within the abortion piece, but within the New Black Church Hours section as well. I loved how the Nick Cannon piece on his atonement somehow linked back to the forgiveness section, where we talked about how Black people are often made to forgive. And the voices within that section, the sister of Botham John, I thought was such an incredible speaker on these things. So you see that diversity within Black people. That was something, and it still is something that we wanted to hit on, but you don't get that unless you have the staff behind the scenes that's able to make those connections and able to find those people using their own experiences as well. And so what you're saying, it was incredibly important for all of us to make sure that you're seeing this breadth of diversity within our community.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, Kenyatta. Kenneth is going to go ahead and follow up with that, talking about the more rewarding side of things when it comes to bringing this series together.
Good afternoon, peace and blessings. My name is Kenneth Lampkin. I'm a film director, and I went to North Carolina Central University, mass communications. But my question is for Eric Johnson, Mr. Johnson. What has been the most rewarding part of bringing Soul of a Nation to audience across America?
I mean, the most rewarding part is that it aired. It's hard to, it's like on television.
It's on TV.
It's surreal. The best part, I think Deborah probably would agree with this, the best part about what we get to do as journalists and as creative people is you have these ideas in your head that are like, you're like, these are crazy ideas. And then you get to, in a perfect world, you get to put those ideas that were in your head on television. And so to see these performances and these hosts pages and all of these things linked together on television, to see that it actually come together based off of what we had when we first started, which was just like literally we made a PowerPoint presentation deck with like just some thoughts, and to see that this big network push behind this incredible series and on Hulu and getting all this great press and talking to you guys, it's incredible. And so that's been the most rewarding thing. It's letting you know, wow, we can do this. Like, we can actually do this if you give us the resources and the ability and the time. We'd love a little bit more time, as Deborah was saying. But we actually can do this. We can do this just as good as anybody else. And so that's been very rewarding for this whole process.
But I want to see us rewarded more. So you guys have to get the word out, because I cannot tell you how frustrating it is every week when I send out blasts to my friend group or acquaintance group. And some people say to me, oh, I didn't even know. You guys have got to get the word out, because it's one thing for us to create this, but it's another thing for people to watch it and to want it. So please, please do whatever you can to get the word out, because I think new people are discovering us every week. And not just people of color. Obviously, we want people who, from all walks of life to discover it and maybe learn something. So we need to get the word out. And I'm going to do my part. So I hope you all will do your part as well.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
And Tamaris, can you follow up with that as well? I definitely love to know your opinion on that as well.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Yeah,
I was asking Tamaris to follow up with that as well, as far as talking about her most rewarding part of the series.
Oh, okay. I think the most rewarding part for me, to be transparent, was just to be a part. To be a part of something that is so much bigger than yourself, and to really put the Black experience out there. I love my people. I love sharing our experiences and our moments and just highlighting that we're not a monolith, and being able to just broaden people's perspective and help them to learn something more about us and put our culture out there. It's something that I'm very passionate about. So to be able to combine that with journalism and have a creative twist to it, that's one of the most rewarding parts. It's just being a part of something that's so much bigger than you.
Absolutely amazing. Like, in the next part of the series is when we're going to open up the floor to like the rest of the HBCU students, and we're going to let them ask y'all some rapid fire questions. So these are open ended to anybody unless they're directed to you guys. So anybody feel free to jump in, and we're going to kick it off with Christopher from Texas Southern University. So I'm pretty sure he's probably going to ask Tamaris a question, but I don't know. So Chris, go ahead and take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Jones. I am an entertainment and recording industry management major at Texas Southern University. Before I even get to my question, Ms. Leonard, you are a beacon of hope here at Texas Southern University. Your success meets every standard there is. We are so proud of you here. Thank you all for letting her be a part of it, and continue what you're doing. We love you. So we were talking about favorite segments of the show earlier. And I would like to say that I love the conversation that everyone has at the table, and sitting down, we get a chance to see the human side of these celebrities, because oftentimes we look at them as icons. And I also like the music at the end of every show. Very Southern. I love the jazzy feel. I love the blackness of it. And if I might add, in the future, since we're looking for more people to tune into the show, I would love to see an HBCU band performance if I could possibly ask for that. But my question to you all.
I love it. I love it.
My question to you all, so sorry for rambling. Can you talk to us about the selection process of the stories, the characters, and the music as well, and putting that all together? Can you talk to us a little bit about that creative process?
Yeah, it's a lot. As you can tell, like these hours are jam-packed and there's a lot of names, and you go to book one performer and they're repping somebody else and they throw that name out and we need to find a place for that. I mean, there's so much that goes into each episodes, but the core of the stories that comes from the producers and the correspondents. They are the core. They're bringing us the ideas, the stories, the moments, and we've basically stacked the show. We came up with these themes very early on because we wanted to kind of target, each and every one of these episodes thematically. We thought it would be a better way to pull things together, and we could create teams to kind of work on different things. And so we did that very early on, and it's worked out really, really well. So each hour has a team, and they basically work in and out of each of the segments within. We have a fantastic head editorial producer, executive editorial producer, Chantre K-Mac, who is a character in her own right. She's great. She's like our chief booker. She's got a team and we go out and make all these phone calls, and she comes back with a list of names and who do we want. All right, I'll go back to get that person. And they said no. And we had a lot of interest in the show after the first episode. A lot of people that we had gone out to, that were like, oh, I don't know if we have time, said, I really want to be part of that. And what we've seen in the field is people really want to be part of this. It's so cool to be in the field as a Black executive team, a Black production team with Black talent, recording BB Winans' pages I'm here in LA, did that this week. It's so cool. So all of these things are interconnected, and it's a lot of teamwork. It's gotten us to where we are. That's it. I got nothing else.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that question, Chris. I think this is the most important part of today's series. We're gonna go around the room. We're gonna start it off with Ms. Deborah, and then we're gonna go to Eric, and then end it with Tamaris. What is one piece of advice that you would give these students?
Well, I mean, I have to reiterate what I said before. I think it's very important that you put yourself out there, that you really try to get experience in internships. And once you're there, you can't just be there and sort of be quiet. You've got to put yourself out there. And I also say, play to your strengths in your life. I remember, talking about the imposter syndrome earlier. I'm a girl of the South. I'm from Georgia, small town Georgia, post-segregated Georgia. And I remember as I made my way up through not just local news, but certainly in network news, I was running up against so many people who had gone to Ivy League schools and so forth. I went to the University of Georgia. And I think I sort of hid my light a little bit because I just didn't feel like I measured up to, the folks from Harvard and Princeton and who had experiences different from mine. But one of my strengths, I think, is my Southern roots. And the fact that I am still in touch with, I have relatives in the South. Some of my dearest friends are in the South. And I think that informs my reporting. I think it makes me a much more well-rounded reporter. I think it connects me to people when I'm out in the field, oftentimes because of those small town roots. So rather than sort of hide from that now, I lead with that. I lead with the fact that I'm a girl from small town Georgia. And I cannot tell you how many times that has put the interview subject at ease. It has created a connection sometimes out in the field because maybe somebody else was either from or had a relative or a mother or father from the South. So play to those things in your life that you may not think really matter, but can matter. And whether that is, regionalism, or whether it's, something else in your family or some family ties, or, just anything geographically or just anything historically in your life. Mind those things because they make you distinctive. They make you somebody who brings a unique perspective to what you're doing. And that just sets you apart. And everything, as Tamara said, is all about setting yourself apart. So that's my little tidbit in 3-4 minutes.
And I'll piggyback off of that. I would say play to the things that you love as well. I went to, and I got 2 things: play to the things you love and be patient. When I graduated college, I was like, all right, I'm gonna find my dream job. And I was panicked when I didn't find that in the year after college. And then I went to grad school and I was like, okay, I want to be on air. I want to be an on-air reporter. And when I went to Boston University for grad school, I knew immediately that I was not going to be on air. Like, it was just not, I was like nervous. I was like, this is just not what I want to be doing. And I was, again, like, what am I going to do? And I slowly figured out there's so many ways to tell stories. And that's what I love to do. I love to tell stories. I love to do it. And that's what I'm drawn to. And so I took my time and just sort of found my own way. At ABC, I've been at ABC for, again, 14 years, but I've had, as everybody laughs at me, I've had a gazillion jobs within ABC. I love moving around. And people think I'm crazy sometimes. Like, why don't you gotta sit still? But I love trying out different things and learning different things and meeting different people in different departments. That's just,
you're like the Energizer Bunny, Eric. You're like the Energizer Bunny.
Exactly. And now I'm stuck I can't meet anybody because of COVID, but I'm just like, I can't stay still. And that's just part of who I am. And so lean into that part of yourself and you will figure it out. Just don't feel like you're not going to find that dream job. You will. If you do what you love and you follow that path, I think you'll get there.
Okay, so I would say my biggest advice is to know that nothing is impossible and everything that you want is attainable. You just have to put the tools together and really believe in yourself. I think that you also have to be fluid. Our generation, we live in an elevator generation, but sometimes it's really okay to just take the stairs. Take your time, believe in yourself, and know that everything is working out for your ultimate good. And you're going to end up great. Everything's going to work out. The job will come. I think, especially post-graduation, it's a lot of pressure, but it's okay. There are an abundance of students who are feeling this pressure. So try to relax your mind and know that if you want it, it is yours. And things will fall into place for you. Just put yourself out there, put yourself in that position. For me, I met a lady, her name is Alicia Cohen. And when I met her, I did not let her go. So sometimes you have to be persistent. If you want it, continue to go after it. And again, it's really okay to sometimes take the stairs. It's not an overnight process, but it will happen for you.
Take the stairs. I like that. The metaphors from this young lady.
I know. She's killing it.
Nicely done, Tamaras.
Thank you.
We live in the elevator generation, but sometimes it's okay to take the stairs. I might have to put that on my graduation cap. I might just have to do that.
No, I'm stealing that.
I want to thank all the panelists, all the HBCU students, and everybody that watched today on YouTube and via Facebook Live. You know what I'm saying? So each and every student that participated in today's roundtable will also receive a very special mailer filled with Soul of a Nation and ABC News swag. So look at that box. Y'all see that box right there? I don't know what's in it, but it looks like it's amazing, right?
I don't even have that.
Somebody got to send the box to Eric and Deborah and to as well. I don't even think I got one just yet. So, but if you want the opportunity to receive a mailer of your own, be sure that you RSVP to the HBCU Watch Party and Kickback taking place next Tuesday, March 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you use the phone to scan the QR code right here on the screen, right here, so you can RSVP to the event. If you're not on your mobile device, you don't have your iPad beside you, anything, make sure you go to hbcubuzz.com/Soul of a Nation so you can set the reminder as well. And also, before the event, make sure you catch up on all the episodes on Hulu. All 3 of them are up there right now. I'll go by the name of CDK on the mic. We're talking about Soul of a Nation, HBCU Buzz, ABC News Family. I appreciate everybody that came out today. See y'all on Friday at 1 p.m.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you. God bless.
Thank you.
Do we stay on or do we head out?